Farfetch'd really is the odd one out when it comes to bird Pokemon in Crystal. It isn't able to evolve unlike every other normal flying type in the game, it's got relatively low base stats, and it's one of the later bird encounters. Right through all the way to Generation 8, it really felt like Farfetch'd was unloved by the creators of the game. It took until then for Farfetch'd to finally evolve, and even that was with a regional form. And honestly, going into this run I had no idea what to expect. I kind of had a vague idea of what I wanted my final learn set to be for Red, but for the rest of the game we would either struggle beyond belief or we would make something work. So we shall have to see what happens over the course of the next 25 minutes or so, but for now let's take a look at the stats of our Farfetch'd. We are of course as always level 5, this time with 20 HP. We're holding a berry and our only move is Peck. We have 11 in attack, 11 in defense, 11 in special attack, 11 in special defense, but we have 12 in speed, so we are quite nippy for the early game, but all the rest of our stats are relatively lacking. And now that we've received our Pokemon and the graphics are up, we can set the timer on its way, and we are officially in this challenge. Our first encounter this time was with a level 2 Rattata. We were able to two-shot it with Peck, and we can start making our way towards Mr. Pokemon's house. Just before we pop into Mr. Pokemon's house though, we're going to beat up a wild Caterpie. We one-shot it with Peck, we grow to level 7 and we learn our first level up move, which is Sand Attack. Now while Mr. Pokemon and Professor Oak are having a little waffle at us, I just want to say thank you to all of you for the support you showed the Abomasnow backport. I was a little bit nervous about doing a backport as a video, but the reception was far from frosty. Now we will still be doing some backport videos, but we're also going to be doing some main runs as well, so we're going to be chopping and changing over the next few months and seeing what feels right at the time. In the time I've been waffling though, we've already beaten up the first rival battle, and I can tell you I used the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Cyndaquil with Farfetch'd. That gives the rival Totodile, and in this instance our hidden power type will be resisted by water, so that's an extra little challenge for Farfetch'd to take on. And now we're just about at Violet City, and our first destination in this instance is going to be Sprout Tower. We of course have the type advantage over all the Bellsprout, so it makes sense to get all the levels we can early on in game. This also means I can do my preferred shop in Azalea Town and save a little bit of time later on in the run. Everything in the tower, barring that final Hoot Hoot, is a one-shot, so we race through the tower and we get the Flash HM in a time of 7 minutes and 6 seconds. We can use the escape rope to get out of there, and we'll go straight into our first gym together. This is Falkner's Flying-type gym. He's a normal and Flying-type specialist just like us, and he leads with Pidgey. It's a two-shot on the Pidgey with Peck, and that brings us on to Pidgeotto. And it's just 3 simple pecks on the Pidgeotto to knock it out. We grow to level 14 and we obtain our first badge, the Zephyr badge, in a time of 8 minutes and 7 seconds. Let's put that in our pocket and make our way out of the gym, obtaining the Mudslap TM en route, and now we can start thinking about heading towards Azalea Town. There are a couple of bits we need to pick up before we're in Azalea Town, the first being the Paralysed Cure Berry, and the second being the Swift TM in Union Cave. And now that we're in Azalea, we can go and catch our first 2 HM friends. And first up today is Psyduck. Psyduck's going to be helping us out with Surf, Strength, Whirlpool and Waterfall. And that of course means that the second HM friend we're going to find in the forest is Paris. Paris will be helping us out with Cut, with Flash, with Dig, and if we need it later, Sweet Scent as well. But with both of those safely caught, we can exit the Ilex Forest and go into our second gym together. Before we get to Bugsy, we decide to battle all the gym trainers in this building, and one of them is Bugcatcher Benny with his Beedrill line. We easily one-shot the Weedle, we get a lucky critical hit on the Beedrill, we learn Fury Attack against that, and we also one-shot the Kakuna. And with Benny defeated, we can make our way to Bugsy and take on our second gym together. It's Bugsy the Bug-type specialist who leads with Metapod. It's a two-shot on the Metapod with Peg, but it hardened so it dealt no damage. We one-shot the Kakuna because it's got lower defences, and now it's just Scyther versus Farfetch'd. It's 2 shots on the Scyther to knock it out, and we've defeated Bugsy to obtain the Hive badge in a time of 14 minutes and 38 seconds. We can't celebrate for too long though, because that notorious Rival 2 is literally right around the corner. So we're going to get ourselves extra prepared for that battle by saying goodbye to Fury Attack and hello to Swift in its place. And let's now take him on and see just how bad this battle can be. I genuinely think this is one of the hardest battles in any Johto game, especially if you're weak to one of his Pokemon, but in this instance we have type neutrality for everything. We're able to get through the Ghastly and the Zubat relatively unscathed, and it's all about the Croconaw. A lucky critical hit knocks it out on turn 2, and we are through the rival in our first attempt in just over 15 minutes. That means we can now progress through the forest by grabbing the cut HM from the Charcoal Maker. We'll also get Headbutt from the green-haired man staring at the tree, and we'll make our way out and catch our third HM friend. This one is Abra, whose only job is to teleport us back to Pokemon Centres, but goodness me, it's a very handy job they've got. So with Abra safely caught, we'll make our way into Goldenrod City, and the first thing we'll do is grab the bike. Now this was recorded before the Kanto reroute, but now it is imperative that I get the bike on every single run, because we're going to be going down Cycling Road, and you'll be seeing some of those runs with the new Kanto routing very soon. We're going to grab the Quick Claw off the lady in the National Park, because I think we'll need it for the red fight. While we're in National Park, we'll also grab Dig. We'll cycle over to Floria and have a little chat with her, and then we'll teleport back to Goldenrod City and think about taking on our third gym leader together. This of course is Whitney, who is a normal type specialist, but her signature move is Rollout. So before even thinking about taking her on, I decide to grind up to level 25. At level 25 we learn Swords Dance in place of Leah, and that's going to increase our attack by 2 every single time we use it. So let's see how the battle with Whitney goes. She's a normal type specialist who leads with Clefairy. Clefairy instantly metronomes Fire Spin, which means we are trapped and taking passive damage every turn, but a Swords Dance combined with Swift easily knocks it out in one shot. We get very close to knocking out the Miltank in one shot, but we don't quite do it this time. 2 shots later though, it goes down and we get the plain badge in a time of 21 minutes and 53 seconds. We have a little chat with Floria's sister to get the Squirts bottle, and that lets us shoo the tree out of the way that's been blocking us from Ecruteak City. Our first destination in Ecruteak is going to be the Kimono Girls Dance Theatre, and after knocking out all 5 of the evolutions currently present in the game, we're able to get our reward, which is a Surf HM. Farfetch'd can't learn Surf, however we're going to go over to get Hidden Power now, and our Hidden Power type this time is Water. That might seem a little bit odd, but please do trust me, Hidden Power Water was what I thought would be best for Farfetch'd, and we'll be seeing why as we go through the course of the run. In the meantime though, we're going to teleport back to Ecruteak and head all the way to Olivine City. I want to get as many levels as possible before taking on the third rival battle. Part of that process means we have to ascend the Olivine Lighthouse, and at the tippy top of the lighthouse, Jasmine is waiting for us. She tells us all about that poor Ampharos that's supposedly ill, but I've got my eye on her. I really don't think she's telling the truth. I think she's telling porkies. We'll find out a little bit later on though. In the meantime though, we're going to have to take on the third rival battle. We're at level 31 for this, so it should hopefully be a little bit of a breeze, and he leads with Haunter. Peck is not able to one-shot the Haunter, that means we're on a clock for the rest of the battle, and here comes the Magnemite. He uses Sonic Boom instead of an electric type attack, which really did work in our favour. We're able to two-shot that, one-shot the Zubat, and it's all about Croconaw. Croconaw uses a weak water gun, we knock it out in 2 hits, and we've defeated Rival 3 on our first attempt in a time of just over half an hour. I was very happy with that rival battle, especially considering the amount of things that could have gone wrong. It did make me think though that now is the time to teach Hidden Power Water, so we're going to say goodbye to Swift and hello to Hidden Power in its place, and we're going to take on Morty. He's our 4th gym leader together who leads with Ghastly. So we start off with a Peck against the Ghastly, and it's an easy one-shot, but it's not a one-shot against the Haunter. That means we've already consumed our Minceberry and we are at the mercy of the sleep against Gengar. We get very lucky and only have a single turn sleep, and that means we're able to 3-shot the Gengar and his final Haunter cannot hurt us. So it's 2 shots to knock out the Haunter, and we've obtained the Fog Badge in a time of 32 minutes and 27 seconds. But that makes me think that Peck has outstayed its welcome, so in its place we're going to be teaching Headbutt. And at first glance that might seem like an odd decision to make just before the fighting type gym, however Headbutt's base power is double that of Peck, so that means when used by Farfetch'd, Headbutt will actually deal the same amount of power as Peck, plus we have the 30% chance to flinch instead. And so we'll now see how Headbutt fares against our 5th gym leader together. This is Chuck, the fighting type specialist who leads with Primeape. We start off by setting up a pair of Swords Dances to make sure our attack is absolutely mahoosive, and then we get to headbutting. And you know what, I get the feeling that Swords Dance might be a teeny tiny bit overpowered, as we're able to one-shot both of Chuck's Pokemon, and we obtain the Storm Badge in a time of 34 minutes and 50 seconds. Chuck also gives us the Dynamic Punch TM, to which Farfetch'd turns around to Chuck and says, "Oi mate, I've got wings, not hands." We do get a slightly better reward from Chuck's wife, that being the Fly HM, which we teach to Kenya and we fly all the way back to the Lake of Rage. We engage the grumpy dragon in battle, we use a Swords Dance and a couple of headbutts to knock it out, we obtain the red scale and we have a little chat with Lance. He tells us about the shenanigans going on in Mahogany, and I'm pleased to announce absolutely nothing happened in there, so we'll skip to the end where Lance gives us Work Plural and we'll make our way into our 6th gym together. This is Price's Ice-type gym. He has a type advantage over us, but we have Swords Dance and a very grumpy bird. So let's see how we get on. We headbutt the seal into next week and we are already on to Dugong. A couple of bumps on the noggin from Farfetch'd makes Dugong go down, so it's now just Farfetch'd against Piloswine. We get hit very hard by Blizzard, but we survive on 8 HP, a couple of headbutts knocks it out and we've obtained the Glacier Badge in a time of 40 minutes and 43 seconds. Considering our absolutely shambolic base stat total, Farfetch'd is doing very well for itself. We do have a difficult gym coming up next with Jasmine's Steel type gym, so we're going to procrastinate a little bit and do our sweep of Johto to get all the items I think we might need. We start off with a Mystic Water in Cherry Grove, we're going to get the extra PP up and the rare candy in Violet City. We'll fly over to Azalea Town to go into Slowpoke Well, where we're going to obtain the King's Rock from a very kind man with glasses. We'll dig out of there and then we'll fly to Goldenrod. We'll need to go to Goldenrod anyway, so it makes sense to set our teleport spots here. We'll grab the rare candy and the nugget near the daycare centre, and finally we'll head up to the top of the Pokemon to pick up our return TM. After that, it's a quick fly to the top of Olivine Lighthouse where we give the secret potion to Jasmine, but we've got to check her handbag, because I reckon the deceitful, duplicitous little devil is going to be giving that secret potion to Steelix. So we'll have to find out exactly what's going on as we engage her in battle. This is Jasmine, our 7th gym leader together, who leads with Magnemite, and it's not a one-shot with Hidden Power Water against the Magnemite, so we are paralysed for this battle. I decide to take a reset after getting hit by a pair of Thunderbolts, and we are back to square one. This time we get a lucky critical hit and I'm holding the Paralysed Cure Berry, so no Thunder Wave for us. It's going to be Ducks against Steelix. We use Hidden Power to take Steelix deep into the yellow, she heals herself up, we get another couple of Hidden Powers to knock it out, and we have defeated Jasmine in a time of 44 minutes and 25 seconds with only 2 resets. I think, today she was giving that secret potion to Magnemite. We're going to have to be watching out for those in the near future as well. In the meantime though, we cannot dwell because we are at the 4th rival battle. He leads with Golbat and we're going to start off by doing a couple of Swords Dances. That's actually quite dangerous, so I was holding a Bitterberry just in case. And here is our old foe Magnemite again. This time Swords Dance takes care of it, and we are on to Haunter. It's a 2-shot on Haunter with Hidden Power Water and we get the option to learn False Swipe. We politely decline it because our objective is to knock out enemy Pokemon, not just give them a little tickle, and we decide to one-shot both Sneasel and Feraligatr for the game's absolute nonsense trying to waste time teaching an absolutely useless move. We defeat the Rockets in the Radio Tower and our reward is the pink bow from Marie, and while we're in the Radio Tower we're also going to grab the radio card. We get it just for answering yes to a questionnaire, and we can make our way into the ice path just east of Mahogany. In there we've only got one item to pick up this time, that's being the Waterfall HM, and we can make our way out and into Blackthorn City. This is where our 8th and final Jotonian gym leader awaits us, and it is Claire. She is of course a Dragon type specialist who leads with Dragonair. At some points in the Radio Tower section we replaced Headbutts with Return, and Return is comfortably one-shotting all 3 of those Dragonair. That means we only have the Kingdra to worry about. We use a Swords Dance as she uses Smokescreen, she locks herself into Hyper Beam, we hit with our Return, we knock it out, and we obtain the Rising Badge in a time of 58 minutes and 21 seconds. I'm always very happy when we get a Claire split of under an hour. And in doing that, Farfetch'd has more than outperformed its expectations so far. But now that we've got all 8 Jotonian gym badges, we'll make our way towards the Pokemon League, where we'll get ambushed by the rival for the very last time. This is Rival 5 and he leads with Sneasel. Leading with Sneasel means we get the opportunity to use all 3 Swords Dances. There's absolutely nothing that can stop us now. We one-shot the Sneasel, we one-shot the Magneton, and here comes a Golbat. We one-shot that as well, and here comes Haunter. We use Hidden Power Water and we don't one-shot it, but instead we're gonna two-shot it. That brings us on to the final Kadabra. We aren't confused, we don't hit ourselves, we knock it out, and the last Pokemon is for Alligator. We sweep that away with our little leak in hand, and we are through the final rival battle in just under 1 hour and 4 minutes. That means we can turn our attention to the Pokemon League. We're going to heal up whether we need it or not, and we'll say thank you to the HM friends. So it's thank you to Kenya, to Abra, to Psyduck, and merci to Paris. You all have a great little rest while Farfetch'd takes on the Pokemon League. For that, we're going to need 4 full restores, which we'll either need or we won't. And now let's take a look at our stats going into the league. We are level 53 with 147 HP. We're holding the pink bow with Return, Swords Dance, Agility and Hidden Power Water. And as for our stats, we have 113 in attack, 99 in defense, 106 in special attack, 110 in special defense, and 106 in speed. Those are the out of battle stats. We'll get a little buff in battle. So let's see how we fare against the Elite Four, and we're going to start off with Will, who led with Xatu, but it's already fainted. He's onto a Jinx, and Jinx has paper thin defenses, so returns an easy one shot. And then we start setting up against the Slowbro. We use 3 Swords Dances as he hits us with a tiny little Psychic, and we knock it out in one shot. It's going to be a very easy sweep for the rest of this battle now, as we one-shot the final Xatu and the Exeggutor, and we are through Will on our first try in 105.32. Let's keep this momentum going as we take on Koga. He's a Poison-type specialist who leads with Ariados. We take care of that in one shot, so he brings out his Fortress, and I just see this as free setup. We're going to use all 3 Swords Dances as Swift chips us into the yellow. We knock it out in one shot, and his next Pokemon is Muck. Muck is very bulky, but we have in battle 526 attack. It really is the world against us and our very angry duck. Our duck is making mincemeat of anything in front of it though, and we get through Koga in a time of 1 hour and 6 minutes. Let's move on to Bruno, the fighting type specialist who leads with Hitmontop. We start Swords Dancing as Hitmontop can only really quick attack us. We get ourselves back up to maximum attack, and then we get to sweeping again. That leak really is getting battered and bruised across the course of this Elite Four because of all that brooming action that Farfetch'd is doing. We are able to one-shot all of Bruno's Pokemon with a combination of Hidden Power Water for that pesky Rock Ground type, and of course Return for all the rest of the Pokemon. We get through Bruno in a time of 106.50, and I feel very confident as we engage Karen in battle. She leads with Umbreon that does get some sand in our Farfetch'd face, but we don't care. We're going to set up once more and hope for the best. It's a one-shot on the Umbreon, and then we are able to two-shot the Gengar with the help of it swearing at us, and that brings us on to Murkrow. We get very lucky with the accuracy rolls as Return hits against the Murkrow, it hits against the Houndoom, and that just leaves Vileplume left to go. We miss and we get paralysed for our sins. She locks herself into Petal Dance though, and that means we're able to knock it out in one shot, and we are through the league in a time of 1 hour 7 minutes and 41 seconds. There is only one thing between us and the Hall of Fame, and this is Lance. He is in cahoots with Jasmine because they're both a pair of liars, and he leads with Gyarados. So we're going to start our setup. We use a couple of Swords Dances and an Agility to make sure we are quicker than all of his Pokemon, and then we can get to sweeping with Return once more. Having Agility on our learn set really does make up for our lack of speed, and it absolutely helps out in this battle, because we're able to outspeed all of those threats. We're even able to outspeed Aerodactyl and Charizard, and already we only have one Pokemon left to go. It's the level 50 Dragonite, which we easily dispose of, and that means we beat Lance in a time of 108.36, and our Hall of Fame time is 108.52. That puts Farfetch'd in 15th place so far. It could all change though, as we have another 8 badges plus the red fight left to come, so don't you dare go anywhere. Kanto is next. And we're back, where it all began outside our home in Newmark Town, where Professor Elm has a little present for us. He gives us the SS ticket to get us out of the country so he can liaise with Jasmine for more nefarious misdeeds, so we're going to have to keep an eye on the pair of them in the next few runs, and in the meantime we're going to welcome back Kenya, Abra, Psyduck and say bienvenue à Para. Our HM friends are back in the party, and that means we can grab our final 2 rare candies of the Johto region. The first one is in Mount Mortar, and the second one of course is going to be in the Whirl Islands, and with those two safely tucked away in our bag we can do a hop, skip and a jump and find ourselves in Vermilion City. And of course the first thing we do in Kanto is the last thing we do in Johto. We're going to get another rare candy, this time from the chairman of the Pokemon fan club. And with that out of the way we can put it in our bag along with the rest of them, and we can start thinking about making our way through the gym leader gauntlet that is Kanto. Our first destination is going to be Celadon City, where Erica waits for us. Before we battle her though, we get the leftovers from the bin, and we get the PP up from the bush. And now as we engage Erica in battle and start our Kantonian gym leader gauntlet, I just want to take a few moments to talk about challenge running in general, the different rule sets that people can run with, and what that means for a theoretical minimum time for us on a run together on the channel. One of the most beautiful things about challenge running is there is absolutely no right or wrong way to do it. Every single runner, not only here on YouTube, but the people who don't upload their content, have completely different rule sets, and I think that is a big thing that needs to be preserved in challenge running, because everybody should just be out to have fun. Everything else is secondary to that element of joy you get for defeating the final trainer in a game. I myself have chopped and changed the rules a heck of a lot since I started this channel a year ago, and the big thing for me is pausing the timer when catching the HM friends. I found that there were many runs that I had to abandon in Ilex Forest because Parish just didn't want to show their face in that run, and so by pausing the timer I'm able to eliminate that element of RNG that really was looming over a lot of early runs and holding them back further than they should have been. And I'm also a very big proponent of keeping the game as vanilla as possible. I only run 2 modifications to the game with all of my challenge runs. I replace the starter with the Pokemon we're going to be running with in that particular challenge run, and I set all the Pokemon to max catch rate because the timer's already paused when we're catching Pokemon. And other than that, the game is completely vanilla. And a big part of the reason I don't do things like turn off spinners is because I really enjoy the world building that goes into these runs. And over the course of the last year we've had a lot of characters come and go. At the moment one of my favourite characters is 3Drill, and we just wouldn't have him in a run if we disabled spinners. And I'm currently working on a few storylines for Elderly at the top of Sprout Tower, but there'd be absolutely no need to go up there if we turned on the lights in every single cave. So for me the world building is almost more important than the final challenge run time, because that's what I do to have the most fun in a run. But ultimately there's absolutely no right or wrong way to play a challenge run. As long as you're having fun and enjoying yourself, don't let anybody set the rules for you. And with that little ramble out of the way, we've already defeated Brock, and we have our 5th Kantonian gym badge in a time of 1:20.29. And that means we can start heading south. We give 3Drill a friendly wave en route, and we make our way to Cinnabar Island. This is where Blue is waiting for us, and he tells us all about this volcano that's horribly erupted. We're going to try and get some more information about this volcano, and I think just the person we could talk to is Blaine. He is our 14th gym leader together. He's a fire-type specialist who leads with Macargo. Macargo goes down to a single Hidden Power Water, and we're onto the Bumhead Fire Duck. It's a one-shot with Hidden Power Water against the Bumhead Fire Duck, and that just leaves Rapidash left to go. Hidden Power isn't quite a one-shot, but he gets caught in a healing loop, and that means it's all over for Blaine. We knock out the Rapidash and we obtain the Volcano badge in a time of 1:21.47. And our penultimate gym leader is Janine. She is everybody's favourite pushover, and she led with a Crobat that's already fainted. We're on to the Wheezing, and Return's going to make light work of that. And I think Farfetch'd yet again is going to be doing a broom motion with his leak as we knock out all of these Pokemon to sweep Janine. She even sees that the writing is on the wall because she doesn't bother with a dire hit. We knock out the Venomoth and we get the Soul Badge in a time of 1:22.28. Our final gym leader is Blue. He is a mixed type specialist who leads with Pidgeot, and it's the battle of the Generation 1 birds. We Swords Dance to get our attack up to 472, and we knock it out with Return, and here comes Rhydon. We've got Hidden Power Water, which means it's an instant one-shot on the Rhydon, and the next Pokemon is Alakazam. We don't outspeed the Alakazam because we're only at 148, but that doesn't matter to us because Return is still a one-shot. We one-shot the Gyarados as well, and that just leaves Arcanine and Exeggutor left to go. Arcanine goes down straight away, and the final Pokemon, Exeggutor, is not going to stand a chance either. we knock it out and we defeated Blue in a time of 1 hour 23 minutes and 33 seconds. And that gives us under 5 minutes to get a top 10 time with Farfetch'd. It is absolutely possible, but Snorlax is sitting there with a 128.15. We are going to have to pull something special out of the bag for this red fight. Before we get there though, we're going to pick up our final rare candy of the run. And with that, we can teleport back to Mount Silver, and we're going to change our learn set. We are going to say goodbye to Hidden Power Water and hello to Mudslap. We've been sitting on that TM since the very beginning of the run after Badge 1. And now it is time to see if we can make some magic happen to get Farfetch'd in the top 10. We have a false start as Pikachu thunders us, but just a couple of resets later we get some phenomenal luck. Thunder misses on turn 1 and we can start getting our strategy in motion. We mudslap the Pikachu 3 times to send its Thunder to Hoenn instead of Johto. We use an agility to outspeed the Pikachu, and we keep red in that healing loop. We Swords Dance all the way up to a 4-7-9 in attack and we knock out the Pikachu. That brings us on to Blastoise. We don't knock it out in one shot, but his AI means he has a high chance of going for Rain Dance. That lets us pick it off on turn 2 and we're able to one-shot the Espeon. Out comes the Snorlax and we use our Swords Dance as Red has a high chance of using Amnesia. That means that we can then one-shot Snorlax, and the final 2 Pokemon are Charizard and Venusaur. The agility we set up against the Pikachu means we outspeed the Zard and we knock it out in one shot. We do exactly the same against the Venusaur and we have defeated Red in a time of 1 hour 26 minutes and 22 seconds. And that is enough to get Farfetch'd of all Pokemon comfortably into the top 10 and a well-deserved 7th place for Farfetch'd. We are over a minute quicker than 8th place with Pinsir, and I think it's fair to say that Farfetch'd has superseded everybody's expectations. That does now mean that Blastoise is in the 10th place drop zone, and Snorlax is now heading up page 2. At the other end of page 2, Auxiliary's next to go down to the dreaded page 3, and heading it up is Magneton. And of course, at the very bottom of the leaderboard, there's still no change with Shuckle in last place. And with that, we are done. So I'm going to say thank you all so much for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. If you've enjoyed this run, please do leave it a like. If you want to see more runs just like this, then click the subscribe button. If you've got anything at all to say, please do leave it in the comments down below. And until next time, I'll say thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all very, very soon.